A tougher question facing the minister, though, is where this money will come from. Tax analyst at EY, Charles Makula, says there are 4 options.
Firstly, the minister can get revenue, which is the primary source, is the increasing the taxes. And secondly, he can get the revenue by cutting on some of the expenditure that we currently have, although that is really not raising revenue, simply moving revenue from one pot into the other. Thirdly, he can get revenue out of borrowing and into the capital markets, going out and getting the loans, etc. And the fourth one, which is really not, which is something that government has already been doing, but which is really not as a big revenue pot, is aggressive enforcement of the taxes. So going after those that have not been compliant.
Increases are inevitable. Some analysts have pointed to value-added tax, personal income taxes, fuel levies, sin taxes, capital gains taxes, dividend taxes, excise taxes and estate duties as possible options. But closer to consumers' interest is VAT. That's because it will have an impact on consumer goods and services. Makula says there's a general consensus amongst the business community that VAT can be tapped into.
Tax, it is probably the most appropriate for the minister to increase. Adding a 1% and increasing it into 14%, for example, there is a forecast that you will be able to generate probably anything between 20 and 40 billion rand. So that is sufficient revenue that you get out of that. The problem with the VAT system is then how do you guard against negatively impacting the marginalized, and how do you make sure that your basic foodstuffs and considering the possible food shortage that we might be suffering because of the drought, etc. So how do you not put pressure, whereas on the other side raising the sufficient revenue that is required?
Ratings agencies will also be important. The country is on the verge of a downgrade.
If are clearly that actually we're putting this and this will allow, we're putting these initiatives and this will allow our economy to grow in this manner, and this is how we're cutting on our debt levels, this is how we're going to be raising additional revenue, this is how we're going to provide a certainty to foreign investors that it is safe to invest in the country and the required rate of returns can almost be guaranteed, etc. If we put in structural framework around that, communicate that or reinstill the confidence into our local economy, I think the message will go down well.
Will closely monitor how the state will curtail spending. This includes the ballooning public sector wage bill and social spending. Diabo Seto, SABC News, Johannesburg.